what I do well is wander. I get lost. I get off track. And so in the spirit of getting lost and off track, I'm not going to give you a PowerPoint presentation with bullet points in it. I'm not going to give you some step-by-step guide to wandering. I think that'd be beside the point. What I will do is think of some stories to share with you and think about some wandering thoughts that I get from them. And hopefully you'll get a sense of why it's okay to get a little lost. So my first story is called Finding Your Passion. And this starts about a year ago when I got into the business school. Everything was going very well. I had good grades. I got scholarships for it. It's the money-making major because it's business and it fits into everywhere. There was one kicker, which is that I hated my life. I hated what I was learning. I hated that I was paying for it. I just hated waking up in the morning. And so the last straw was when I pulled out this piece of paper with the next 1.5 years left of the business degree to finish. And I just finished my quarter. And people always say that, it's going to get better next quarter. It doesn't get better next quarter. And so I was thinking, man, I want to do 0 things on this piece of paper. Like 0 things. And so I ripped out that piece of paper, and I got into the most obscure major you could think of, called Comparative History of Ideas. And now, as a Comparative History of Ideas major, I'm creating a film project on the meaning of life. I am jumping into fashion design. I am trying to design a technological revolution with the X Prize Foundation. Now, I can't, where was I going with this? Wandering. Right. So, right. So, people wouldn't be able to pay me to stop learning these things. This is what I love doing. And so, people say, do what you love, but I would say, before doing what you love, stop doing the things you hate. And the second thing is that, people will always tell you that you're off track if you're changing what your focus is. And I think we need to redefine what it means to be off track. And so this is my gut check. Think about what you absolutely love to do. No one's paying you to do it, just what you would spend your time on regardless. And then think of what you've been doing today, yesterday, the past couple weeks. Now, if those weren't the same answer, you're off track. Second story. Okay, so this story starts when, this story is called, if you can't fill a space, create one. In other words, what the hell do you do with a Comparative History of Ideas major? And so this story starts when I was sending out all kinds of emails trying to get a job, and I finally got an interview with an organization called Startup Weekend. And so I had it all planned out that on interview day, I would get there an hour early, scout out the office, make sure it's there, and have coffee, and then nail the interview when it was time. So I got off the bus, scouted out the place. It was not an office, it was a hospital. And instead of being very early, I was going to be very, very late. Eventually, I found out that I was 3 miles away from where I was supposed to be. So instead of giving up, I thought that in full interview attire that, maybe I should run there. So I started running in the direction that I thought the office would be. And after running for about 45 minutes and being disgusting, finally arrived and realized that in 45 minutes, the poor navigation skills that got me there in the first place, or that got me lost in the first place, did not get any better. And so again, I was lost and wandering in Seattle. And at this point, I could have gone home, but I decided to enter some random buildings. And so I entered a random building, and I went floor by floor and knocked on each door asking people, what kind of opportunities are there? What do you do? And I was disgusting and sweaty, but remove the inhibitions, and you realize that people are really willing to help you. And so some people let me sit down and work for them for half an hour. They're just excited about free labor. I met some CEOs, and they let me shadow them. And most importantly, I've got contacts, and through contacts of contacts, and this story getting out because this crazy sweaty kid, knocking on the door, that I got 2 opportunities. One of them was that I became the managerial consulting intern for a company called Blue Box Group, the host of VH1.com and MTV.com. And the second opportunity is that I became the director of marketing, media, and corporate sponsorship for University of Washington's International Genetic Engineered Machines team. What they did, just a little background, wandering again, is that they created diesel fuel out of bacteria, they created magnetic bacteria, and they created a cure for celiac disease 700 times better than what's in clinical trials. Where was I going with this? And so I guess the moral of the story is that, it doesn't matter how lost you get, and things don't often go as planned, but as long as you never give up and knock on a lot of doors, it's still going to be okay. Third story is the most boring story ever told. It is a story that we all know. I call it the dominant narrative, and that is this. Get good grades in school, get the right degree, get a corporate job, retire after 30 years. How many have heard this? Most boring story ever told. And the reason that it's the most boring story ever told is because it's a set path. People have already heard of it. Why would you do what's already been done? The artists, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the icons of this world, they didn't follow a path. They had no idea what they were doing. Steve Jobs, no idea what he was doing. He was wandering around in India when he was 19 before he started Apple. Richard Branson named his company Virgin because he was a virgin at business. He didn't name it expert. He didn't name it experienced. And Gandhi and Picasso and Disney, they didn't have precedent for the things they did. What they did was find their passion and go with it, no matter how lost they got. And so my big idea worth spreading today is that as the next generation, let's create a culture of both courage and creativity. Because the greatest danger to your success is not failure. It's a sense of comfort and safety. This is what the mediocre do. They cling to the safe path of the average, proven by the masses. They need degrees, prestige, guidelines, and timelines in order to succeed. They're okay with marginal improvement rather than radical change. Do something different. Raise your voices. Raise your fists. Draw outside the lines. And don't apologize. Thank you.